My name is Elizabeth, and I'm here today to talk to you about lightweight contracts. They said that the people here are going to be the guys who are interested in coding and developers. Is that right? You're all interested in that stuff? Good. A little bit about me, why I can stand here and talk to you about this. People often ask in these kind of places, when did you get interested in Bitcoin? And I always say that was 10 cents. But it was only an interest then because it was dark and murky and stuff, so I watched. And then I started working around the forums for a little while, Bitcoin Talk, and that was still a little bit of the wild, wild west, especially for a woman. So I kind of like gradually got involved. And then back in 2013, I got really involved in NXT when it was first came out as the first proof of stake. I was very, very interested in it because of its energy solutions and because the vision. People first started talking about blockchain as something you could do something with to change the world, to make it a better place. So in the beginning, I started as one of the founding members of the NXT Foundation. And time went on. We improved the NXT platform in a way that we didn't want to fork it and make something new, so we evolved it. And in January, we introduced Ardor. And when we introduced Ardor, the NXT Foundation became the Ardor Next Group, and I became the director. I didn't give up the crypto movement. I grabbed that avatar. They're Twitter, follow me, since 2014, and that's where you can find me on Discord and Reddit and everywhere. So I travel and tell people about blockchain, specifically Ardor and Next. And in March, our team went to the 4YFN, 4 Years From Now conference at the Mobile World Conference in Barcelona, Spain. We were nominated for innovative technology in Ardor and Next blockchains, and we became one of the top 5 finalists. It was a win, all or nothing, so I can only say we were in the top 5. And while we were there, we met a lot of people, and during one conversation, we had a challenge where a guy came up with an idea for a game where he had a collectible. Only it was going to be a little block, and these things were going to fall down. And when the block tower fell, whoever had the block, who was staking the block, when the block tower fell, would win the reward of all of the money that was contributed to that. So we started talking about it in the context of what had just happened with CryptoKitties and crashing the network and how much we could sustain it. And immediately our developers, these are our core geniuses, started thinking about a way to solve what CryptoKitties and other things came up against. And they accepted that challenge, and we came up with lightweight contracts because we discovered that in a lot of instances, smart contracts really aren't so smart. A smart contract is a set of promises specified in digital form, including protocols with which the properties perform on those promises. And Nick Szabo said that 20 years ago. I like to think of it sometimes like this. IFTTT, if this, then that, because we put in our input that says this has got to happen, and we expect an output, which is the that. So smart contracts, we expect every node on the network to process every single contract. The execution of this has to be metered. It's a stateful process, and it presents a lot of huge security problems, which we've seen recently with funds disappearing, the node and the network being shut down because of overload. Our lightweight solution, the contracts are stored on the blockchain, but they're only processed by some nodes. Not every node in the network does it, only the selected nodes. They're stateless, and we believe they're more secure. So what is selective node processing? Only the parties interested in the contract outcome are required to process and verify it. So not every node has to process this contract. The contract code is simple Java class. It's uploaded to the blockchain and digitally signed and timestamped. It's Java class because that is what our platform is built on. You don't need to know Solidity or any other code to do this. It's just Java. The contract execution, only by nodes who have chosen to run the contract runner add-on. And with this, and I use the same picture for every single one of this section, and that means I'm going to get lost if I don't read my words. The input to this contract is a transaction on the blockchain with an attached message that identifies the contract to execute and supplies the optional parameters. And the output of the contract are also transactions that are submitted to the network to update the blockchain. These transactions are submitted by a contract that are normal transactions on the blockchain, and they have to comply with existing protocol rules. One of the things that has to happen, for instance, on the Ethereum blockchain, is they have to be metered to make sure that we don't have infinite loops, out of memory, or stack overflow errors. We won't have those because only the nodes running the contract would be affected by any of those situations, and it would shut down the entire network. The very worst case scenario is the node running the contract would get overloaded or have an error and it wouldn't start, but the whole network would continue running. So there is no need to meter the execution of the contract with a lightweight contract. And the contract will only pay transaction fees on the submission instead of the per instruction, like some contracts, smart contracts that we're familiar with. Okay, so this is an example from Ethereum.org. It's the one that they give developers to help them get started. And we want to look at line 8. And the reason we want to look at line 8 is because it shows the state of the contract. Okay, this line is going to maintain the balances of the accounts holding the contract called my token. And it's stored on the Ethereum blockchain. And it's maintained across all invocations of this contract. Okay, so you can imagine that. So it's a stateful contract. A lightweight contract is stateless. They only rely on input provided by the trigger transaction, and they're stored on the blockchain or extracted from external sources. There's no problem with killing these contracts. In other words, you can just shut it down. And as long as the passphrase of the account running the contract is still available, the funds can be recovered in case of a disaster. So you can see a lot of potential solutions for a lightweight contract. So lightweight contracts are built on the Ardor platform. And this is what our client wallet looks like. It's based on the NXT technology, and so we already have several ways to store stated contracts or transactions securely on the blockchain, and we've built those in as features with their own transaction types and APIs, so you can already start building on those. We have encrypted messaging, count properties, aliases, data cloud, assets, and you have monetary system for that. So we can't really, I can't show you a direct one-to-one example of a light contract similar to the Ethereum contract that I just showed you, because in Ardor all you need to do the same thing to change your token balance is to invoke the transfer asset IP or any of the AIPs, so it's already built in there. And there it is. That's another 30-line contract. You can see that we import different objects up at the top, and very simply, we can modify the state of the blockchain just by sending this message without keeping an internal state. So we're stateless. And because these are not executed by all of the nodes there isn't any risk of overloading this blockchain with duplicate message transactions. So the contract is basically invoked, it does its processing, it submits transactions, and it quits. And the next invocation of the contract doesn't rely on any saved data, and so it can run in parallel, which can mean that we have a lot of CPU advantages there. Okay, so lightweight contracts can be used for everything that Ethereum smart contracts are used for, and to automate repetitive tasks, financial calculations, predictable random numbers, oracles to collect information from external sources, just about anything you can imagine. You can match your ideas for a lightweight contract with the existing features that I just showed you in our built-in APIs, like our Ardor coin exchange, our asset exchange, voting tools, marketplace, account properties, messages, and more. Okay, so here's an example, without the code, of a block-based lightweight contract. So your friends want to participate in a lottery or a game of chance, and everyone in the group sends Ignis tokens. I'll back up. Ignis is one of our child chains, and it's its own currency, so any child chain on the Ardor platform can be used to do this, and you can use your tokens to interchange between child chains to do it. For this example, we're going to use Ignis tokens, and we're going to send them to the contract account. The contract account will monitor the blockchain and choose the winner to define frequency based on some condition. And then the contract account will submit all of the collected Ignis to the winning account, minus a transaction fee, which is paid in Ignis. We don't use gas. It's all just contained in the blockchain there. And in this simple example, the winner is selected based on a generated random number seed derived from the current block ID, and that will be defined in the content properties. Side note, the transaction fees paid in Ignis or on our child chains can be deferred. So the owner of the contract or the owner of the child chain can say, I'm going to pay all of the transaction fees, and the user of your game, your store, your contract doesn't even have to see that there's a transaction fee involved in what's going on or need to pay it. So that's a really advantageous. The contract could be more enhanced to support advanced use cases like selecting the winner based on the value of an account property set by an external, contract monitoring like the outcome of a horse race or sports game, and the chance of winning could be proportional to the amount paid, and multiple payments are allowed from the same account. Quick review, but I'm talking too fast because we're out of time feeling that pressure, so I'm going to do that and move on. Right here, I want to take just a quick here. I want to show you. Okay, this is a live example, a demo account of our client wallet running right now here on my computer, and here are all of these different contract built-in APIs. We have assets, we have a coin exchange. Right up here, just for reference, I talked about Ignis. This is on the Ignis child chain, but we have a few other major child chains up there we can switch back and forth to. I'm planning to add some on every release, every quarter. So some are coming up. And what I wanted to show you, though, is this part, so you can get started. This is our API console. That's going to open up right over here. This is one of the ways that we do things. I'm going to show you with messaging. So we'll quickly send a message. We're going to tell it that it's going to be on the Ignis blockchain. For sake of time, I'm not going to go and retrieve my recipient address or my secret phrase. We can put those on here and put all of these different variables and conditions that are already pre-built into this. Submit. Come up here, get your JSON code, and use it with whatever environment developer you're using. And we can do that for every single one of these things. So these are all stateful situations. And because they're stateful, we can build on top of them these lightweight contracts. I am going to, I'm not going to back up here. I'm just going to tell you that there are 3 different ways that you can set parameters for these contracts. And the contract runner is just a server-side extension. It's an add-on, and nodes can decide to run it or not run it. Only the nodes running it loads the contract, okay? I didn't say that very well there. And it executes it based on some preset conditions. The contract runner is configured in the NXT properties file, the contracts JSON file, and the node owner on the network should list supported contracts or set a flag to enable the node to execute any contract. We can also support oracles really, really well, because an oracle collects information from an external source and registers it on the blockchain. Contractors and other users can use the data, and lightweight contracts are not executed on every node. It's ideal for oracles. Here's another example. I'm not sure if we have time to go through this in detail, but we have an arbitrage example for Ardor and RDX, or digital exchange. So lightweight contract, we can compare the Ardor database rate from the last trading info for Bittrex to the last trade rates on our lightweight exchange, and then retrieve and deliver information in 3 different ways. And we can enhance it by configuring it for more currency pairs, integrating it with more exchanges, or using current bid and ask orders instead of last trade, and any other number of ways you can think of to enhance it. So the contract can freely interface with external sources like Bittrex and won't prevent the blockchain from reaching a consensus if it breaks down. It doesn't pose a risk to the entire network because if Bittrex site is slower down, the whole network won't crash, just the nodes that are selected to run that contract. And of course, we have to trust the oracle. In this case, it's Bittrex. A lot of people say, like, how do you trust things? We trust it with peer review. It's open source. People can look at the contracts and recompile it and make sure that everything matches. Results validation. Does the contract deliver what we want it to deliver? And of course, this can identify cheaters, but it doesn't necessarily prevent their transactions from being included. And account control. We have multi-signature built in as one of our stateful APIs right now, and that provides another level of trust. One of the important things to remember is that we accepted this challenge 3 months ago in Barcelona. It is not on testnet yet, but it will be released on the next Ardor testnet update. And all of the design decisions right now are based on prototyping and feedback. So if you wanted to go to ardorplatform.org, download it, install it on testnet in your environment, play around with it, give us some feedback, that'd be great. I think I talked a million miles an hour. Thank you for bearing with me. And I got them early. So I can try to answer any questions that you have, but like I said, this is evolving. It's a pretty exciting thing. I can't wait to do this. I did a mashup of lightweight contracts with crypto collectibles and came up with some really cool ideas, so I can't wait to try it. Yes?
Is it kind of like the Dreamweaver of smart contracts? Like it just makes, like Dreamweaver does for web development, kind of made it easier. And, is that what it is?
Well, I like to think that the Ardor and Next platforms kind of made crypto easy by wallet for a lot of people. We don't have the same marketing budget, and my voice isn't loud enough to say, hey, look at us. But it is. You saw all of those things already built in, like the messaging. Today, somebody out there was talking about voting. We've got a voting system that works. People are doing polls and corporate voting on our blockchain all the time. So these things are built in. With the lightweight contracts, we're providing another layer of scalability and flexibility and security. Because when a contract only needs to run on 1 or 2 nodes, you're not going to crash the whole network. You know, right now on most other blockchains, actually I can almost say all other blockchains, you have to put every single contract together on that same main blockchain and compete with CPU, memory, everything that the network needs to operate and run. So, yeah, to answer your question, I think we have the solution to make it easier, and this is just going to add that flexibility, scalability, and security. If you're interested, I could go on and on how you know, we are proof of stake, our parent-child chain architecture is already improving blockchain bloat. Next quarter, we're going to probably be releasing blockchain pruning, which means that transactions that don't need to be stored on a blockchain forever and ever will be pruned after we've taken this snapshot for historical reasons, accounting reasons, or whatever, just in case you need to go back and verify anything. So to me, it's a very exciting project.
How long have you been up and running with it?
2013 is when the NXT came out. Then we, no, not we, our glorious team of geniuses came up with the idea of how to solve blockchain bloat, and with the parent-child chain architecture. We could have forked Next and applied it to that, but our community made a decision not to do that because NXT was a beautiful blockchain already working and it was the first proof of stake. So what we did is we evolved and introduced the Ardor platform, and what we can do is really just spin up a blockchain. I've heard it claimed that we can do that in about 15 minutes, but we don't do that because we have an entity that secures our IP and our licensing right now for this, and they want to make sure that we're not issuing projects on our platform that are fraudulent or scams. We don't want to be part of that.
What?
That are fraudulent or scams. So they're vetting the projects that we put on the blockchain for now. The idea in a couple years might be that will allow people to kind of go in like an AWS and spin up their own server, but we're not there yet, primarily because of protecting the project, you know, so that it doesn't get bad blood.
So it's the NXT blockchain?
The NXT blockchain will actually look very much like the Ardor blockchain that I showed you. You can download it at nxtplatform.org.
Yes, the previous blockchain. So what Ardor is doing, there's a lot of competing with blockchains. A lot of them still are white paper. Like Ethereum is going this route also. It's called Plasma. Mm-hmm. It's not out yet.
It's a lot
they're going to do this. So I mean, right now people are just in the talks of building out something similar to this, but it's actually they already built it. They just don't have the marketing.
We just don't.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of people who don't know about it. Mm. So that's the sad part.
Here's where we got started, okay? I found NXT when it was 3 days old. So I was so excited, and I've been excited about it. But our ICO raised $21,000. Compare that to the ICOs today.
Yeah, they
it was released by an anonymous in 2013, and the guy who invented the NXT platform was called BC Next, and the reason I got excited about this is because I read his white paper, and he's like a visionary about blockchain and what it can do, and you know all these things. So. When you raise $21,000 and 6 months later Ethereum raises its millions or billions or whatever, you kind of have a competitive disadvantage in your messaging, right? Because $21,000 isn't even going to pay our developers. So basically, our developers were passionate about this project and they worked. This project is their second jobs until very recently when we were able to sustain them as full-time developers. So this is a project full of passion. This is a project that is secure. We did a lot of things. We lost a lot of money on Beater, the Beater hack. And as a community, we decided to stay true and loyal to our principles, and we did not fork. We let everybody lose. You know, some people might say, ooh, but back then that was a big, huge thing because we wanted to maintain our integrity towards blockchain and cryptocurrency and what it means. You know, you don't fork to reset problems. So we've gone through all kinds of things. We've been tried and true. We've put bounties out to invite people to hack us, and it hasn't happened. We have put bounties out for people to find bugs. BC Next wrote 3 bugs into the original code on purpose. They were all found and fixed, and in the meantime also some other ones came up. So we are very secure. We have been running for almost 5 years.